Thank you, Sunilji. Thank you, Prakashji, for such an awesome session. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, over to
Radhe
you.
Radhe Pallavi ji, thank you. Thank you, Prakash ji, for a wonderful session and the beautiful discussion I followed towards the end, and it was pretty engaging, right? Who's more valuable, God or $100,000, right? If you had put million, I think then we would have been forced to think, but yes, it was a pretty engaging discussion. So thank you for that. So like Swamiji ended, Jane binu hoy na partiti, binu partiti na hoy priti. So let's do the Janenu part, the philosophy, knowing more about God and the spiritual wealth. We are going to talk about that as well today. So welcome to everybody. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. Let's get started. Today we are going to continue on our topic of surrender. We will peel a few more layers around it, do some recaps, also talk about what is not surrender a little bit as well. So let's get started. I'm going to and we have a short lecture from Swamiji as well. One of the questions that keep coming up is how do we measure our surrender? So we have a short lecture I picked up from him as well. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. We will do our opening prayers and then get underway. Okay. So we'll start with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening once again to all of you. So let's get started with our Soul Soup segment. So let's see what we have today. So we've been talking about success, happiness, and fulfillment. Yesterday we saw a recipe for disappointment, which was the expectations, right? Today we will continue and also look at another aspect of it. What basically help? Why? What is the question? Let me just. Is it fair to expect others to think, behave, view things like we do? That is one of the common expectations we have, right? Why doesn't the other person understand it? It's so simple, it's so logical, just makes common sense. Why can't you be a little more understanding? And basically, we hardly find people who can think like us and who can resonate or mirror us, right? And that leads to a lot of, disappointment as well, because that expectation is there, explicit or implicit is there somewhere at the back of our mind. So we'll try to talk about that. And then when it doesn't happen, this happens. See on the right-hand side, this happens. So let's try to understand it a little technically from a scriptural perspective. Is it a fair expectation to begin with? Our scriptures tell us that our mind is made up of these three gunas. Our mind is, first of all, it is made up of Maya, material energy. And that is why it gets automatically attracted towards material world, material things, because it is cut from the same cloth as the material world. So our scriptures say the man, it has a sajatiya sambandh. Sajatiya means it's same as the material world. And because material world is about these three gunas, so is our mind, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And what happens is this mind, like you look at it, it will have the varying proportion of these gunas throughout the day. And these gunas, they keep on changing and fluctuating minute by minute, sometimes hour by hour, and definitely day by day. So it's the way you are feeling right now, and it may not exactly be the same how you were feeling 1 hour back, or for that matter, one day back, or maybe a week back. right? So basically, this proportion keeps on varying, and it's a function of a lot of things. Our mind, our chit, our consciousness, or our subconsciousness. It's actually dictated by our past sanskars as well. So many impressions we have feeded it. We don't know which one will get activated. It's like a reel, right? You see the movie, you put some film in front of the light and then it gets projected. So we don't know which one will come in front of the light in our mind, and that guna will get activated. So for example, one of the minds, amongst these persons is having 50-30-20 kind of a guna play going on. And at the same time, the other mind is having 30-50-20. So there's bound to be a conflict. Even let's say both are in sattvic mode, but the proportion is varying. One is 30%, one is 40%. Then you will sit in a lecture or attend a satsang for half an hour, and other person will say enough of it. The second person feels, no, let's do it a little more. Or the Rajas has gotten activated, said enough of satsang for the day. Now let's go watch a movie. So those kind of things, they keep on fluctuating, and because of which there's bound to be a conflict that can happen. Now, the thing is, how is the world sustained? The world is sustained because of two reasons. First, people, they have behavioral competence. They understand. They understand, or they try to understand, or they try to balance it out. They understand, is it worth picking this battle or not, kind of a deal. Or in the other case, if let's say we had the ability to read each other's minds, then this world would be at the war. There'll be a lot of battles going on around. Right? It's like somebody knocks at your door at an odd hour and says, "So nice to see you," and you know what is going on inside you. And if they could read your mind, you know what will happen. So this world will go to war if we could read each other's mind. Okay, this is how it is. So God has purposely not given us that ability. This ability is with saints, and they also use it for the purpose of our upliftment, not to have fun, just for the sake of it, right? But the point is that it is very unfair to expect. And then when we understand that, then when we look at it from that perspective, then we cut the other people a little bit of slack, right? But it's very unfair in that sense, because our gunas will never have a match at the same moment, at the same kind of a guna activated at the same moment, at the same proportion statistically, and that probability is very, very, very low, minimal, in fact, zero. And even within that, I have taken round numbers. Start getting into fractions and stuff. Proportions can vary, and it fluctuates within minutes, within seconds. Right now, you might be in a sattvic mode, but let's say you go out and somebody bangs the door on your head, immediately your sattva will vanish, and tamas will come in, anger will come back. So those kind of things do happen. So that is how it goes. So it is how the material world is meant to be, until we have really controlled, tamed our mind, and there is no escape out of it, because our gunas will keep on fluctuating. Now let's move on to our topic of our discussion. We will continue with this topic for one last time, and then we will pick on our journey starting from 4.38. 4.37 is where we had a bit of a segue, talking about the concepts of surrender, and then we'll go from 4.38 onwards after the quiz session, which is tomorrow. So I'm going to recite it. We'll pick up a few hands. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. I'm sure some of you might have memorized it by now. We have done it so much, right? Like a lot of other shlokas. Okay, let's take a few hands, maybe 5 hands, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे। तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Very nice, thank you.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परं शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Shyamji.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे। तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Okay.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, I'll try to recite without saying. Tvameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapyasi shashvatam. Thank you,
All
Radhe
right.
Radhe.
You got 9.999 out of 10 already. So just a minor intro, but good. Did well. Good, Shri Ramya. Thank you. Okay, let's quickly take the remaining hands.
Yes, Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Ones
go ahead.
which you have videos on, I would say.
राधे राधे तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Payal ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. राधे राधे.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice. Thank you.
Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, let's take the last two hands and let's freeze the hands.
Manisha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Manisha ji.
Radhe Radhe. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Prapsyasi. Thank you. Thank you, Manisha ji. All right. Last but not the least, Riya ji, please go ahead.
Yes, Riya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Very nice. Thank you, Riya ji. Started. Radhe Radhe. So Lord is saying that surrender exclusively unto him with your whole being, O Bharat. By his grace you will attain peace and the eternal abode. Now let's get started. By the way, this is a beautiful quote I came across from Swami Vivekananda. He said, you may convert each building in the land into a charitable organization or a hospital, but the misery of man will continue unabated until their character changes spiritually. So it's a very profound statement. Puts the sattvic deeds into perspective as well. It's good to do noble deeds. It's good to attach yourself to a cause, help people, build hospitals, help NGOs. That is fantastic. Having said that, that still does not bring about the change that is needed. For that, you need go a little further, because sattva is also binding. That can at best take you to celestial abode, because punya phal takes us to celestial abode, and after that it is kshin, and then you're again back. So we need to become gunatit. If we are still playing in the material world, right? If we are limiting ourselves to that. However, if we do the same activity with a consciousness, as Lord Krishna has so beautifully explained in the Science of Work in 2.47, that you're doing it for the pleasure of God without having a sense of doership and offering your fruits, then it becomes a gunatit karma, and then only the spiritual transformation would come about. Otherwise, it can get capped at sattvic level only, and sattvic pleasure is difficult to let go of. People who are researchers, people who are doctors, people who are committed their life to noble deeds or sattvic endeavors, it is very difficult for them to go to God. There are a lot of people, they get stuck at sattvic pleasures only because it is good, right? They feel we are honest, we are doing good, and we are trying to help people. It's not just about us alone, but that pleasure is very difficult to let go of. So sattvic is also binding. That is the key message here. Now let's move on. So surrender, the principles that we are talking about is desire in accordance with the desire of God, not to desire against the desire of God. Firm faith, God is protecting us. Maintain an attitude of gratitude. See everything as possessing. So we'll do a quick recap on these and giving up the pride of having surrendered. Now, why is surrender important? See, it's like this is, okay, let me try to explain it from other lens today. You see here, there are different currencies. So when we come from India to US, we need to go to the Forex and get our Forex card or get our rupees converted into dollars. And if you go to Europe, you'll have to convert it into that currency and so on and so forth, right? Similarly, when we depart this world, the only currency that goes with us is our spiritual wealth. And in that sense, surrender is the spiritual currency which we carry forward with us. All the Devic gunas that we are talking about, let's say we talk about forgiveness, we talk about being fearless, we talk about letting go, we talk about not harboring bitterness, we talk about having more acceptance, all the things that we talk about, right? 16.3 talks about all the Devic gunas. They actually take you to surrender only. So finally, this is the currency you take forward in your next life. Nothing else can be taken forward, right? All the wealth, all the material opulences, everything remains here. And there's what is that? Not shloka, but that saying is there, right? Is दुनिया में क्या कमाया, क्या हीरे, क्या मोती, but क्या करें यारो, कफन में जेब नहीं होती. So you can't really carry anything forward other than the spiritual wealth. And the surrender, the percentage of surrender that we acquire in every life, let's say our soul has gotten a certain level of acceptance around things, that base spiritual wealth will be carried forward in next life. You start from that point onwards, you don't lose that at all. And that is also one of the huge mercies of God, where he makes sure that our spiritual wealth is not lost, it's not eroded, and he preserves it's for us so that we can carry forward from where we left in our previous life. 7th chapter talks about it, where Arjuna asks this question: what if I'm not able to complete this journey in this life? And Lord explains it very nicely: don't worry, you will basically, I'll make sure you are born in a family situation, circumstance, so that you can carry forward that journey. It'll be easy not easy, he's saying, but you will get the good cards basically in your next human life. And that is a mercy of God, because if you were to get reset like a computer does with a hard boot, then it becomes a mission impossible, right? So yeah, so this is a spiritual currency. Surrender takes us closer to that. Now, one of the things I think to desire in accordance with God you're talking about, I think there was a survey put in, there was a mixed response around it. So I thought let's do a quick recap of all the concepts that we have done and take any questions that might come up. Now, God doesn't do the things we think he should. He has a perfect plan for your life. How is that plan? It could be like this. Came across this one, God's plan, and finally he's taking you somewhere. So it may not seem very straight, it may seem a little devious here and there and all that stuff, but the key is to exercise faith, the trust, the acceptance, all these things. It's the journey of faith actually, and finally leading us to surrender. As you see, God's plan, it can take you from here to there. When you will go back and connect the dots, then you'll say, there was a beautiful pattern that emerged out of it. It's like this, right? There was a nanny, not nanny, but nani, or grandmother. She was, weaving, what do you call that? Knitting a sweater, and she was doing like this, right? They do that. You would have seen that. And the little boy comes and looks at it behind, and it just does not make sense. He said, what are you doing? Because she's working on something, but it doesn't look like what she's doing, until He looks from the other side, and finally, when the things evolves, there's a beautiful pattern that is emerging, and that is how God works as well. There's a Taoist saying that every snowflake is falling at the right place. So it may seem chaotic, it may seem, it may not make sense around it, but there's a method to the madness, that apparent madness that you see around. Our scriptures say that this world is a veritable form of God himself, right? Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam, that this whole world is a veritable form of God. And if it is a veritable form of God, it cannot be imperfect. It is in the same world, the saints find peace, joy. Everything is serving its purpose. They see it like that. Everybody is perfectly situated where they need to be. We think, no, it is not. Ghor Kali Yuga has come. This has happened. Everything is perfectly in place. So anyways, those are the advanced. So with acceptance, surrender, that vision is strengthened as well. So we need to have that. This is basically the first two principles of surrender. In a way, we need to have faith, acceptance around what is happening, and when we have that, we are aligning to God's will. In fact, I was thinking about this topic, and Lord Krishna to Arjun, he's saying one of the instructions that he's giving him is Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmar Yuddhascha. So I was thinking he's telling Arjun Sarveshu Kaleshu, that instruction is for all of us. That means that's his will. That means he wants us to remember him all the times. That means we need to somehow figure out a game plan to get closer to that state, right? If you think we truly have to align to God's will, just to fulfill that first principle, we have to think about him all the time. So Karam Yoga is one of the ways which can take us closer to that principle, where we always have that consciousness. What are we doing? What is our relationship with God? What is the purpose of our life? And how do I please God? And how can I not even for a second forget him? That is the ideal state, just to fulfill the first condition of surrender. Right? If you think deeply about it, Sarveshu Kaleshu is the state we need to get into. But it's a journey. So these are all the stepping stones for that. Anyways, so let's move on. Now, the first question, trust your intuition. We were talking about how do we know whether we have aligned to God's will, right? So we spoke about some examples. If you have played tennis, or you played when you have hitting the ball in the sweet spot, right? It's hitting the sweet spot. You see that? Otherwise, it will go tangent or some angle. So this is how it is. Even a cricketer, when he hits a sweet spot, he gets a feeling, something it has happened. And if you remember this thing, what is this one? This is one of my favorite, hitting the sweet spot. Look at his eyes. He just knows India's won the World Cup. He's hit the sweet spot, 6, done. After that, India has never won any ICC trophy, but this is the last one you can remember. So this is like hitting the sweet spot. Something good has happened. Okay. But when you don't know, we spoke about that as well. And then what happens is, if your intuition does not guide me, you have a purity of intention as your insurance policy. So we need to rely on that aspect, because this is something which is well within our control, to exercise the purity of intention and sincerity at heart. Okay, so this is the key thing. Now, with that said, before I go any further, let's look at a quick short video that I've picked for you. Give me a sec. I'm going to stop share my screen again. And I will say share my desktop, share sound. Let's look at this video. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
We have a free.
Are you able to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We have a free will. God has given us the ability to choose. How do we use that free will is the critical thing in all of creation. Like we have been discussing in the lectures, that the powerhouse has given you the energy. Now what you do with it is your free will. In the same way, God has given us the ability to see, hear, think. What we are doing with it is our free will. So your question is that when we are not yet surrendered, how can we assess where we are? First of all, understand what it means to surrender, and then measure yourself against that ideal. So you may have heard surrender means to align my desires in accordance with the desires of the Guru. Not to desire against the desire of the Guru. To have faith that God is protecting me. To feel gratitude. To think all I have belongs to Him. And to be free of the ego. So this is how the scriptures has defined the state of the surrender. Now you measure. And if you want to put it all in one, the first of these 6 points is in itself complete. Anukulyasya sankalpaha. To desire in accordance with the desire of the Guru. So if this is our mental state, what do I want? Whatever my Guru wants. That means we are surrendered. To the extent it is not there as yet. Guruji wants this, but I want this. Or to feel upset, to have mood off. All these things are indicative of lack of surrender. So the third point of surrender is what? To have faith that God is protecting me. What is the sign? Sign is you are free from fear. If you are surrendered, you have no fear. If you have fear, you are not surrendered. The two don't go together. So check yourself. Do I have fear? Or have I become fearless? Vyasa bharose kumari ke sovat pav pasar. These are all requires introspection, the ability to read ourselves very carefully. So it is all a work in progress, WIP. We are all works in progress. To see our deficiencies is good. It makes us humble and makes us realize that the goal is far. But becoming aware of that, we should not become dejected. We should then make this gap as intolerable to us. I know this is where I should be and this is where I am. The next thing is this gap is not tolerable to me. हे जीवन धन अब तो तुम्हारे प्रेम के बिना यह जीवन मृत्यु से भी अधिक भयानक है. This is now worse than death. Which means now we are inspired. I will do my best to be as I know how I should be. Somebody said, "Oh Lord, please make my actions in line with my knowledge." What a beautiful prayer. We have the knowledge. This is how I should be. The devotee says, "Lord, make my actions in line with that." So to want to be the best that we know we are supposed to be is the goal, the yearning of our sadhana, our spiritual practice. Thank you.
All right. So hope that shed some more light on the topic that we've been discussing about. This reminds me of a beautiful story of Arjun. During the war, on one of the days when Bhishma took that vow, whatever, that I'm going to either tomorrow Arjun is going to be killed, or I'm going to make Krishna break his vow of not lifting a weapon. And Bhishma, right, like Dagichi's Balidan, and what are the other things which are very famous? Karan was being Danveer. Similarly, Bhishma's Pratigya was like Bhishma Pratigya. Once he has taken it, and he had the boon that he could leave his life years on his own volition. And there was a big panic that set in the Pandav camp. All the brothers, they were, pretty tensed about this declaration from Bhishma. Krishna walks in and he looks at it. Everybody's having a very serious, discussion around what's going to happen now. Bhishma has taken that pratigya and he said, "I'm going to target Arjun tomorrow." And everybody was like, so he said, "All right, all the Pandavas, Yudhishthir, they are tensed. Let me go and check Arjun. He must be freaking out as well." So he goes to Arjun's room and Arjun is happily sleeping like a baby. He said, "What's going on, dude? Get up. Don't you know what Bhishma has said?" He said, "Of course I have heard it," but then said, "Are you not worried?" He said, "Why should I be worried when you are there? It's your freaking problem, not mine, because you are responsible for me," right? So that is the attitude. He was surrendered. It's like, okay, so be it. It's my problems are Krishna's problems, basically, and he has to take care of it. So that attitude he had, that is the complete surrender part of it, right? And then when Swami was talking about aligning your will to God or Guru's will, there also we got to be careful about it. Are we serving ourselves or are we serving our Guru, right? There are three categories of Gurus. The first one is like an arrow. Arrow is like once gone, never to be seen again. Some task comes their way and they vanish, they evaporate. They never come back. And then second one is a doctor disciple. The Guru says, "Give me water," say, "No, you should drink milk." Then also we are not aligning our will to their will. And then the third one is like, okay, Guruji says finally so many instructions, and then say, "Okay, we are going to have some good food. Please come and eat." He said, "All right." The first two instructions I did not follow. The third one I'll definitely follow. So that is not how surrender works, right? So it is says that basically, and it has to align to God or Guru's will. That is called a complete surrender, not imposing your own will and your own desires on top of what is needed. So let's move on. And then we spoke about what do you see below? Okay, this is another thing, right? Anybody, what are you seeing here on this picture? Yeah, there are too many things. Okay, let me just carry the discussion forward. So you can see a whiteboard, or maybe you're saying a duster, which is green. I don't know what is it like, or maybe a board here, and somebody will see a black dot. So point here is our natural proclivity is to find that one thing which is not right. We may have whole canvas white, but there is one black spot and we start focusing on it. So we need to refrain from that mindset. Everything is fine. So many graces are there in our life, but there is one thing that is not working and we make a big deal out of it, right? As if that defines our very happiness in life. And if you look at it, a beggar musician, there's a beautiful story. Yes, Pallaviji, wanted to ask something?
There's a question in chat, Nitinji, if I can ask.
Sure.
Sangeeta ji has asked, when Jeev is under Triguni Maya, like Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, how can he exercise his free will?
No, this is a good point. When they are under the three gunas, the sway of the three, it's a very, very good question. In fact, we have spoken about it. How can they exercise their free will? Now, are you saying, are you in autopilot mode? Like Tesla, autopilot car? God is saying autopilot is fine. Most of the people, they lead a life in autopilot only. They are controlled by their gunas. My mood is this, my mood is that. Now I'm feeling this. They go by feelings, by their mood and their feelings, or what their mind is craving for. That is autopilot. Then they are under the sway of gunas only, the tendencies that they have acquired, right? Until you start understanding the deeper secrets, deeper principles. Now, with those deeper principles, your free will, through your free will is a symptom of soul, by the way. You can override your gunas. How? You are going and you want to steal something. You're a kleptomaniac. You start to steal something. Now, all three possibilities are there. You are stealing, you'll steal it for yourself. That means you succumb to your tamas gun by your nature. Second is, you have a bit of knowledge. You say, you know what? I should not just steal for myself, because if somebody else steals from me, it is not a good thing. Let me just share my bounty like a Robin Hood. You have a Robin Hood movement now. Bit of Rajas has come as well. Okay, and maybe a bit of Sattvic as well. The third thing is, this knowledge comes in, and then you think, you know what, I should not steal at all. Okay. Or you steal and completely donate it, then the sattva has increased, but you have actually, now you are overriding your tendency. Or the fourth one is, you think about, you know what, I have read this knowledge that it is one of the Panch Mahapap, stealing something, and Garud Puran says this, and then you think, God, thank you for giving me the wisdom, I will never do it again. All possibilities are there. So simply playing to the tunes of your mind, then you are like that autopilot car, which you have no control over. God says, take control over. You do have the ability to exert your free will and transcend your gunas. And that is the whole game. If you don't transcend your gunas, you are deepening your gunas. You are falling further into that pit. I hope that answers your question. We spoke about it in great detail when we spoke about So basically the point here is, you are not subservient to your gunas. You are, as long as you don't understand the deepest principles. Once you start understanding it, you can override it. It's the same thing, right? Morning, you don't feel like getting up, but it's an exam, your intellect tells you and you get up. So immediately from tamas, you have swung into rajas, even though your default guna was tamas at that point. So we do have that ability to ride that by exercising our free will, or our intellectual, whatever knowledge is activated in our intellect. I hope that answered the question. Now, beggar musician, I'm talking, okay, there was a beggar, actually, there was a musician, I forgot his name. Yeah, maybe I'll get his name. It's a very well documented incident. So he had actually a show in New York. So this guy was actually, he sat, this guy wore the clothes of a torn, ragged clothes, and pretended like a beggar, and sat on a metro station in New York and started playing the music. Nobody came and noticed him. A few people, they came and noticed him and put some change, whatever they had on his begging bowl there. Now, Now what happened and who was this guy? This guy was a very renowned musician. The guitar that he was playing, it was worth thousands of dollars. And for the same music, his tickets were selling for $3,000, $5,000 a few days back. So under ordinary, conditions, even extraordinary things, we forget to marvel that. This is how human mind is. And that is where we forget. So many good things are happening to us in life, and we start focusing on one bad thing that is happening. Right? The ability for us to actually, if you think about it from a gratitude standpoint, we wake up every day, that itself is a big reason for us to celebrate, right? 56 million people die annually, 150K every month, every 2 seconds somebody's dying. Having a roof over our head, we are not in a war-torn zone like what is happening in the Gaza Strip right now, where we are not even sure where the bombshell is going to come from the next one, right? People, they are homeless, 1.6 billion without adequate shelter. We have an able and a healthy body. From that sense, we are already worth millions of dollars, because nobody is going to trade off their eyes, hands, legs, even if somebody gives you $1 billion. Right? What's the point of life with that? So there are so many things that we have going for us, but we forget that and start focusing on one thing, which basically is called that, which makes us ingrateful, and not focus on things we should really be happy about, right? So this attitude is also important part of surrender, right? We get the earth we walk upon, the sunlight we see, air we breathe, and all that stuff without paying anything in return at all. We don't pay anything for that, right? And then let's talk about, I don't like my job. This is a complaint, but think about it. That means you at least have a job. That is a big deal. How many people would trade their situation with you so easily? I have to pay taxes. That means at least, I'm on a salary. I get a W-2. That's a big deal. Not so every person has, or you are at least beyond a certain bracket of your income. That is why you have to pay taxes. Otherwise, nobody's going to ask you for taxes as well, right? Or for that matter, I have to wash dishes for so many people. That means at least you have friends or family. That's why you get this privilege. So the point is, really depends on what you want to choose to focus on. I was complaining about my shoes until I saw someone with no feet. So we have so many things going for us, and when we forget all that, that's when we get into the trap of having ungrateful and those kind of things. And when we have a grateful heart, we spoke about it, it produces more of serotonin. It gives you a lot of joy, peace, and stuff like that. And that is also something which will take us closer to surrender as well. And then no sense of proprietorship. Now, there are a few stories around it. Shivaji for his guru, I spoke about that story where Shivaji says, okay, all of my kingdom belongs to you. And Guru says, all right, I accept it, but now I give it back to you so that you can run it with a sense, run it for me as if it belongs to me. So no proprietorship. And that is the attitude typically every leader should have, every prime minister, every president should have. It doesn't belong to me. It's an opportunity to serve. And then there's another story of Bharat for Lord Ram. He ruled for 14 years, keeping his sandals in front of him. It does not belong to me. I'm merely a trustee of this kingdom, not the owner. Right? So there's a beautiful story in Ramayana. Then we have a Prahlad for his own son. There's a story when Prahlad became king. Once his son and his guru's son, they got into an argument, says who's more superior. So then Prahlad, both of them said, okay, let's go to somebody who's just. So his guru's son said, let's go to your father, Prahlad. He said, but it's my father. He said, no, but he's very just and fair. So they both go and pose this question. And the deal was that whoever loses the bet will go to gallows. His head will be chopped off. They both agreed, and they both went to Prahlad. And this question was posed, who is superior, Prahlad's son or his guru's son? Prahlad, he said, without even thinking, he said, of course, the guru's son. The guru has a higher stature than the king, so he's superior than you. He said, but the bet was that he has to go to the gallows. So Prahlad, without even batting an eyelid, said, all right, take him to the gallows. His own son. But then the guru's son said, okay, now between you and me, who's higher? He said, of course you. He said, then you have to obey my order, bring him back. So Prahlad, without batting an eyelid, he said, all right, bring him back. So in either case, sending his own son there or bringing him back, he did not have any emotion whatsoever, because he didn't have any sense of proprietorship, right? So that is the attitude. We have so many stories in Bhagavatam and in our scriptures to illustrate the point, what it means when we don't have the sense of proprietorship. Like an ordinary person would freak out. So, oh my God, how can I send my son? What is going to happen? And then they will be excited if, they get another lease of life. But Prahlad was completely detached to that process. It's a very high ideal, but that is the state God is asking us to reach. And then, how should we treat Lakshmi, money? Money is, by the way, the secret stash of most of the people in Kali Yuga. That is how it's meant to be. And that is why Yug Dharma, one of the things is, one is the Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan, the name of God, and Kirtans. The other one is to do Dan. Brahmaji had given that injunction that in Mrityulo, people should actually, in order to purify themselves, they should be looking at doing sacrifice, Dan, of wealth as well. And that is where one way of looking at Lakshmi or money is like Ravan did. It is for my enjoyment, right? When he abducted Mother Sita. But the right attitude of looking at Lakshmi is, it is a paraya dhan, okay? It belongs to somebody else. Finally, you have to part with it. Like King Janak had towards Mother Sita, because she was his daughter. And when a father grooms a daughter, he knows that he has to let go of her one day, okay? For, for whichever dude it is. So anyways, now for self-enjoyment, aggrandizement, or as a trusty caretaker, again, this attitude, that varies in both the cases. And then the ego, the pride aspect of it, it is very subtle. We spoke about it. And one of the acronyms for ego is edging God out. Okay, so it's important to get rid of pride. When we bring in ego, God is no longer there. Kabir ji said, right? Prem gali ati sankari do yo mein do na samaye. जब मैं था हरि नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नहीं, प्रेम गली अति सांकरी यो में दो न समाये. So it's like either God or your pride, both cannot coexist. And then when you look at the pride, basically it said that, this is a very beautiful quote. It says a bad day for your ego is a great day for your soul. So if you are able to take a hit on your ego, it's actually very good for your soul that day. Just learn to tolerate that. And then, like Swamiji beautifully pointed out, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. We need to know and then make this, is this gap intolerable for you or not? This is the key question. Or are we comfortable in our bubble? Okay, this is a question. I think we need to individually introspect on and see how we can accelerate our spiritual growth based on where we want to be, what is our desired state, what is our aspiration in this very lifetime. Okay? Because human life, we say it's very rare, and then the factors, factors converging where we have an able body, we get a mentorship of a real guru, we find satsangis, we have inspiration, we get the opportunity to subscribe to divine knowledge. All these factors converging that possibility is like little low. God will arrange for it, but then whether your mind will cooperate or not, what will be our situation, circumstance, which prarabdha will get activated, there are so many variables. So it's better not to take a chance and do as much homework as possible now that factors are favoring and they are in alignment. And then finally, one last thing I wanted to, I know I've been covering a lot of stuff, but I think that was needed. What is not surrender? One of the things that we need to think about is surrender is actually, one is an external surrender. Surrender is a state of your mind, internal surrender, where you feel Sharanagat. Right? If you do things and then I think do the prayer, Sarve Krishna Astu, I think Samarpanam Astu, that okay, I offer it to God. That is a good aspiration when we do that, but that does not constitute as a surrender alone, right? It's good to get into that practice of offering everything to God. But just stating that, or doing that at the end of the day will not suffice. It is a way of life every moment. And secondly, the big question is, we surrender our good deeds to God, which is good. Should we surrender our bad deeds to God as well or not? Anybody wants to take that? Don't do that. Because God's rule is whatever you give it to him, he multiplies and gives it back to you. Okay. So bad deeds keep for yourself. It's like, all right, there was some inadequacy in my understanding, and because of my imperfection, it happened. Don't offer it back to God. Like there was a movie, right? Aksna karta nahi main. He was quoting Bhagavad Gita. It was like there's so many movies come which mess up with all these concepts. So He was quoting Bhagavad Gita and he was saying that I'm not doing it, God is doing it. And then what happened? He kept on killing people. So God and kept on incurring more papa and sin basically. So bad things don't offer to God. Good things, of course, you can, you will, you should, and he'll multiply and give it back to you. So one good thing leads to another, to another, to another, and it can actually fast track your journey in that sense. So with that said, I'll take a quick pause. I know I've been talking a lot today. We have a few good announcements, exciting announcements to make as well. But any questions on so far what we have gone through?
I see. I see Sandhya ji's hand raised.
Yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Please go ahead, Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji.
Joshua Bell. Thank you, Pallavi ji, for reminding me. Joshua Bell. You can go and check it up. He played it at NYC.
Yeah. Thank you, Nitin ji. One of the devotees shared in the chat. Yeah. I just forwarded that.
Thank you.
Please go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay, thanks, Radhe Radhe. So one thing was regarding this, what is not surrender. So again, like Ishwar Tushti will also come into this category, right? And
true. So there are 4 kinds of tushtis that we need to be very careful about. One is called Ishwar Tushti, where we put it back on God. See, it's good to put things in God's court, but if you just leave it to God and basically make it God's responsibility, it's like you're not going to do any action on your side. It's called Ishwar Tushti. One of the example would be, if God will desire, then I will do it. Or if God will call me, then I'll go there, right? That is called Ishwar Tushti. Second is called, this is against surrender. Second is called Kal Tushti. Kal is when the time will come. Right now, my time has not come. Okay, I have kids to take care of. I have this, when I'll, although those are excuses, it will call Kal Tushti. The third one is Bhagya Tushti. If it is in my fate, then it will happen. It's not in my fate, it will not happen. It is called Bhagya Tushti. And the fourth one is related to surrender only directly. It is called Sharanavaran Tushti, where you claim, I am surrendered and I am this and I am that. You claim to have been surrendered, but you are not truly surrendered. Okay. It's like an outwardly or an external expression of surrender, but inwardly you are not. So I'll tell you an interesting story. There was a guy, he said, he goes to his guru, he said, I'm completely surrendered. Everything belongs to you. And his guru said, really? He said, yeah, I just want to feel happy. And now everything belongs to you and I'm completely surrendered. He said, guys, he said, all right, that's fine. So do one thing, convert all your wealth into gold coins and bring it to me. He said, okay. So he basically sells off everything, gets that gold coin packet and brings to his guru. So guru snatches from him and starts running. And he said, oh my God, what happened? He starts following his guru. Guru is going right, left, this, that, and he's chasing it. And then he's panting and finally he grabs hold of guru somehow and snatches that away from him. So guru says, are you happy now? He said, yes. He said, yeah, precisely the point. You've become happy, what you're looking for. So the point here is, there are a lot of times Sharanavaran Tushti that we do, that, okay, everything belongs to you and nothing belongs to me. When we are doing Aarti, right? Tan man dhan sab tera, kya lage mera. When we say that, and then just imagine if God comes or somebody comes and say, hey, load it into the truck. Guruji says, everything belongs to me. And then immediately our Tushti will go for a toss. So these are the 4 Tushtis which are impediments on the path of surrender. So thank you for pointing it out, Sandhya.
So I also wanted to add this, that when we are saying that something is bad and we shouldn't give credit for that to God, the other aspect is that some situations might, or the results of some situations might appear bad to us. But the fact that we do not know the big picture, we need to have acceptance towards it, right?
Acceptance is one thing. Putting God, basically, it happened because of you, is something we are saying not. Acceptance is, all right, it happened. Maybe it was your will or it was my imperfection and you have an acceptance. But if we say, God, happened because of you, you enabled me to do that, that is something we have to guard against. That is like offering the bad fruit to God, right? And telling that mindset needs to be corrected. Yeah, you take ownership for that. I think we spoke about that concept, right? Again, the window mirror concept. You don't look at the mirror when those kind of things happen. Okay, it was because of me. And you look out of the window, that means attribute it to God if something good gets accomplished through you.
Right. So I think in terms of efforts, we can actually, for bad and good, we can put it this way. But in terms of results, I feel whatever it is, um, we have to kind of see it
Acceptance.
as part of big plan of God, right? Yeah,
Acceptance.
yeah.
In that
Okay.
case, good or bad, acceptance.
Right. And there is a comment from Shweta ji. All three gunas have to be whittled away by guidance, teachings, and grace of Guru, which will help us align our desires in accordance with desires of Guru gradually. My 2 cents.
True. But the grace of Guru would come in based on the level of our surrender. Right? And that surrender, the more we subscribe to the surrender principle, we have to do effort. Guru cannot do work for us. He can give us the framework, he can guide us, he can give us the knowledge, but the actual effort we only have to put. So if we don't practice the principles of surrender when the situations come in our life, of course, we are limiting ourselves. Grace also has to follow a principle or a rule. And that rule and the principle is the level of your surrender around it. And how well you are aligning with the teachings, divine teachings. Nothing pleases Guru more than you trying to practice these principles in your life and really putting your effort towards it. So by the way, I want to make a quick announcement. This Friday, we are going to launch a very exciting session targeted at youth. It's going to be spiritual secrets of our what's the name, and it is going to be run by our the familiar faces that you see: Sandhya, Shefali, Hasmita. They'll be leading that session. Rahul, Arun, they'll be supporting. So it's going to be a very exciting session. And if you have some youth always wanted to know about the deeper secrets of Sanatan Dharam or our scriptures, and then this is the session you would really want to come to. Anything more you wanted to add, Sandhya, before we can take some more questions? I think I see 3 more hands.
Yeah, I mean, I can add definitely youth, but adults as well. So it is for all. And we have been learning in Bhagavad Gita classes. We will try to extend that and yeah.
All youth and multiples of youth. Everybody's welcome.
And दिल तो बच्चा है जी, तो सही है.
Right. I'm also a couple of times youth, right? Maybe more than that. So yes.
Where are youth inspiration?
Yes, please do 8:30 Friday. It gets launched. It gets started. So please come over, and it's going to be a very exciting session. Okay, let's take the remaining hands now.
Yeah, Nitinji, when we discussed about window concept, can we quickly revise, because there are some devotees who they don't know about that.
Okay. Yes. So window, even in leadership programs and corporates, they talk about it, right? So a good leader is the one when something good gets accomplished. Let's say a project succeeded or a big initiative succeeded under them. So whenever something big happens, a big success happens, they look at the window. Window means they look at people who attributed to that success rather than taking credit for themselves. So they never claim that I did it, or I am the one who made it happen. They always look at people with whom they can share that credit. So that is called window, looking out. And mirror is when you look at yourself, right? So it's like when something good happens, people have a tendency to look at the mirror. Okay, I did it, or I'm responsible for it. Something bad happens, they look at the window, whom to blame it to. Okay, it happened because of this, it happened because of that. It should be just the opposite in spirituality. When something bad happens, you look at the mirror. It was because of me, because of my inadequacy, or because of my limitations. It happened. And when something good happens, then you look out a window. You attribute it to God. God, thank you for enabling me and giving me this opportunity and making me an instrument to get something good accomplished. So that is the whole idea. When we do that, we progress fast. And it's a mindset that we have to consciously inculcate, mindfully inculcate. Because of our conditioned state, it's just the opposite in our material world. We try to, take credit for all the things that are good happening, and bad, we try to blame everybody else. Just the opposite. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for explaining that, Nitinji. I can take a couple of hand raised. Sri Ramji's hand is raised.
Sri Ramji. It's a very nice name, Sri Ram.
Sri Ramji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, sorry, I was not able to unmute. Yeah, first of all, like thank you guys for doing the session. It was very helpful. So I think I had one kind of like a comment and getting your opinions on it. So I don't remember if it was one of the JKOG sessions or some YouTube video somewhere where like what should you do like when you're, let's say, doing some holy task or praying or something, and then you get like a random bad thought or a negative thought or something. What do you do? Like, do you just say, okay, please God, take care of it in your mind, you just think, or you just ignore it? Like, there are two options, right? So I wanted to get your opinions also on that.
Sure.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
You want an opinion or you want a fact?
I mean, from your, I don't know, your experiences or
I don't have any opinions, to be honest. I simply subscribe to the knowledge that's, but yes, I think Swamiji has tackled this question in the Power of Thought book. So our brain, mind, it generates about, I think, 60,000 thoughts a day.
60,000, yes.
It's a factory that can generate thoughts, right? Now, and most of the thoughts, they are unproductive, negative, or useless thoughts they will generate, because the quality of our mind is not as fertile as yet, right? It will generate thoughts. Having said that, you're not obligated to energize every thought. It's like if you are standing on a sea, there are a lot of waves that will come and touch your feet, but you're not obligated to surf all the waves. You can pick and choose the ones you want to surf. Similarly, all the thoughts that come to your mind, you're not obligated to energize or prolong those thoughts in your head. And in fact, even the law of karma, in fact, Bhagavad Gita says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatum tishtati, right? It's like nobody, not even for a second, could be without karma, because karma is not actually the act, it's every thought. Every thought constitutes as a karma. Now, every random thought, no, the thought that you energize, that you choose to energize. Let's say, for example, you started thinking bad about somebody. Now, if you continue to sail that thought, first of all, you have the ability to dissociate yourself with the thought, with a witness consciousness. Just distance yourself. It's not that, okay, it's happening. It's like a banana peel, that joke, right? I have to fall. No, not necessarily. You can immediately cut it. So as long as you're not energizing it, that is fine. And if it is an unproductive thought, just let it pass. That's it. We don't have to really sail it. And mind will create these kind of thoughts until it reaches a stage where the only thing it can generate is positive thoughts. So we have to work towards getting to that stage. Until that point, we have to simply neglect or nip it in the bud, as they say. I hope
Got it, yeah. Thanks, Nitin. Yeah, that was very helpful. Yeah,
where are you joining us from, Sri Ramji?
I'm sorry?
Where are you joining us from?
Oh, I'm in California, San Jose.
All right.
That's right.
Pleasure to have you on the session and good to hear from you. Thank you. And I see so many videos turned on today. Cash has turned on your video. Michelle has turned. So thank you, Michelle. By the way, I saw your note. I'm in Denver. Next time I come, I'll definitely get in touch with, so that I can meet people around. This time I'm lying low. Officially, I'm not feeling well. That's why I'm doing this session. Okay. So I can't roam around too much. Plus, I forgot my jacket in Dallas. Okay. Believe it or not. Luckily, it's only 65 degrees outside. So it's all good. But yeah, thanks for your note on that. Let's take the remaining questions now.
Yes, Surendraji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu. Nitinji, I thought the question which I read this was...
Surendraji, before you go to the question, I would like to interrupt you and ask you that, did you specifically choose the session of surrender to come back? Because you have been missing for so many days.
Surely. It is my luck that today I turned on and it was the same question which everybody is asking me also.
Pleasure to have you. It's always so good
I
to
only
hear.
wanted to answer what is not surrender. The extra R. If it is taken out, it is not surrender. What is that extra R? To me, as a layman, reverence.
Yeah, if you take
reverence
that
is taken out,
it
will not be surrender. I would seek your opinion about
it. No, reverence is a key thing, right? See, when we revere somebody, right, the surrender automatically follows. Reverence is like adoring somebody, loving somebody. The aspect of surrender automatically follows towards that, right? It's like when we salute somebody, you said, all right, you tell me what to do, I will do it for you. Or when you love somebody, that element of surrender automatically comes. So it's a great insight, Surendraji. And yeah, I think that is a key ingredient on the path of, in order to increase our surrender for sure. Yeah.
I wish you early recovery. Whatever you just mentioned, you're not feeling well. You are not.
No, I'm saying officially I'm not okay. So I'm doing all right.
God bless you. God bless you. You should.
I had to skip my extended team outing today so that I could be. That's what I'm saying. I'm more than happy to skip that. That's why I'm saying I'm doing all right. I hope there's nobody from my team here on the session. That's all I'm hoping for. So that's about it.
It is always a treat to listen to you. Always.
My pleasure. And it's so good to see you back after so long.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
God bless.
Thank you, Surendraji. Manisha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, you mentioned in the previous session that we can't blackmail God, or but what I heard in Meeraji's and Karmabai's Jimny, where in some situations they got angry with God, and as he was not listening to them, and they got blackmailed at some point and tried to and also tried to lift their body, and after that they got God appeared and do his leela and fulfill their wish. In fact, when I was young,
there's
I
a subtle
used to get
difference
angry.
between. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
So I also got angry with Mahadev and get my work done a lot of time. Maybe it had to happen, but मुझे ऐसा लगने लगा था कि मैं गुस्सा हो जाऊंगी तो हो जाएगा. This approach is wrong, I know. Sorry for the silly question, but yeah.
You may be lucky in that sense, so go for it. But yeah, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea, but see, when we talk about tat sukh sukhitvam, we leave it to God. We don't put a gunpoint and say, hey, either you do it or you know what's going to happen. That's not the whole idea. Now, if it has happened, it may be a coincidence or part of your prarabdha and whatever it might be. But then in cases like Dhanna Jat, who's saying, God, I'm going to beat you up. It's not that God, it's his, it's his faith. It's his innocence which appealed to God, not the fact that you say, God, you know, I basically implore you, if you don't do, I'm going to shoot myself. Right? The spirit in which you are doing, I think that matters a lot, because people like Mirabai was also there. She was not saying, God, if I don't see you, I'm going to. So God only decides that is this worthy enough, for me to reveal myself, or is it just a pure blackmail? Okay, which the soul is.
It's something like we can throw tantrums in front of them.
Sure. If tantrums are working, go ahead and continue to do that. But yeah, in bhakti, basically they say you desire, when you love somebody, you desire their happiness, right? At that point. But yeah, I think if Krishna or Mahadev,
वो अब आने लगा, but हाँ, when I was young, मेरा ऐसा होता था, like
so God has a
आपको
Krishna
करना
is very
पड़ेगा.
naughty, right? He has a habit of giving you lollipops on the way. It may be one of those where he's probably decided to play to your tantrums as well. So anything is possible. But that's good. If it's working for you, sure. Take it to the next level and see what happens. But if he starts appearing in front of you, right, then you are in trouble. That much I can tell you. So, but yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you for waiting. Kumarji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hanumanji. So you cannot trick God. If you understand God, you cannot trick him. You cannot bluff to him. We will know that for sure. You know, probably we might think we were doing that, but at some point of time, you will get the knowledge that God knows everything. He is all powerful, all knowing, all pervading, right? So you will not trick him. You can trick all the other people in the world, but you cannot trick him. So the other question is, Sri Ramji had this question, and I had to respond to this, right? Now, Nitinji explained it very well, saying that, yeah, you are witness conscious, right? And then you will get bad thoughts, you will get good thoughts. You let it come and go, right? But to reach that, it's going to take some effort. How do you do that? The answer is in your name, Sri Ram. Sri Ram's name itself is so powerful. Hanumanji, he just makes him do so many beautiful things, right? So just whenever any bad thought, and this is my experience, right? That's why I'm able to tell you with so much confidence. As soon as it comes in, say, Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. When you bring Jai Sri Ram into your conscience, into your thought, the bad thought will immediately disappear. I am living proof of that. Please try it. And that will kind of push you towards that too. Then you go to the next extent that you will come, things will come and go, and you won't be bothered by it. But till it bothers you, utter the name of Jai Sri Ram, and that will make things disappear. All the negative things disappear. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram.
Much, Kumarji. And I think coming from the depth of your realization, I'm sure it will inspire a lot of people. Yeah, you can always use God's name to your advantage. Fill the vacuum, start filling the vacuums or the spaces in your day with God's name, and it can do wonders. I've experienced it, and a lot of you can experience it that would have benefited from it if you're doing that. It's a great practice to do, actually. There's so much of power in God's name, right? Thank you, Kumarji, for that. Ikshitaji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Ikshitaji. Please go ahead.
Actually, to add to that, how to eradicate bad thoughts, Maharaji had a pravachan. In many pravachans, he said this, that it is like a lady who is cooking in the kitchen and suddenly the fire catches her sari. So immediately she removes it. Okay, she doesn't let it, she puts it off. In that same way, if she would have let it go, then she would have got burned. Okay, now, so in that same way, you also have to, when the bad thought will come, just cut it there and say Radhe Radhe or whatever. Just now, Jai Sri Ram, he said.
Right.
So whatever thing comes, like Maharaji said this, that at that moment you cut the thought and say Radhe Radhe or go on thinking on something better. So I have applied that. I'm working on it and it is working. Yes.
Thank you. I think that's a great tool you gave. In fact, he's given another example of when we eat food and pebble, concard comes.
Yes.
And we don't say, oh, bha gaya hai, to khana hi padega, now that it has come, I have to eat it. We simply take it out. Similarly, when some unproductive thought comes, first of all, we need to be mindful with our witness consciousness. It's not like we participate in everything that our mind throws at us. We say, okay, something is started, I need to cut it, nip it in the bud. So that is the whole idea. Thank you, Pishitaji. That's a great tool you gave.
One more thing I want to add.
Yes.
Yeah. When the Gita class started today, I was with Swamiji.
Oh, wow.
And so today it was raining heavily here. So we did not have the morning walk. So we went inside the auditorium and we had beautiful kirtan. Then we had group dhan, then a question answer session. And then when the Gita class started, he was there in front of me only. I started in my mobile. I started in my mobile. I thought, Swamiji, can you please? I thought of telling him, but I dared. No, it's okay. Let not.
Good, you did not tell me. That's the only thing that makes me nervous. Swamiji has come to our session once. I had requested him when I had started the session. So, that was the only time I became so nervous when he was there, right? I forget what I was.
But I was so scared. I didn't say anything, but I started the class in front of him. Then he left and we also
I'm glad
came
you're
out.
having a great time. And please keep sharing the running commentary of what's happening there every day.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ipshitaji. Radhe. I thought I saw Sairamji raise his hand as well.
Yes. Sairamji. Are you here? Let me check.
Yes, Sai Ramji is there. Let's unmute him.
Yes, Sai Ramji, please go ahead.
Yes, Sai Ramji.
Radhe, Radhe. I don't think I have anything else to add. Swamiji itself was there. I think that we'll stop there. I think we can close it out on a good note.
Right. I thought you wanted to share something.
I mean, it was just on the question about the why is it important to get rid of pride. I just saw a video recently that, there's one thing that God hates, it's pride. And if it's one thing he likes, it's humility. And, we may not be able to do enough bhakti or anything, but if we satisfy the condition of becoming truly humble, that itself will make us God realized, is what was.
True. Because one of the definitions of God is Deen Bandhu. So Deen Bandhu means when you think yourself as Deen, the more humble you are, the more you think that I am totally dependent, and then he has to intervene. So yes, pride is something he eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's one of the things he doesn't like. So to bring people down who have pride is something, one of his job descriptions as well. So very nicely. Thank you, Sai Ramji, for sharing that. And humility is called the crown jewel of all the virtues. And it is the Adharshila, or the foundation to build the castle of spirituality, of devotion as well. So thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Shilpa ji had raised hand. Shilpa ji, see, there is one rule in our, you can raise hand, but you're not allowed to lower it without
Yes.
asking what you're supposed to. So Shilpa ji had raised, so you have to unmute Shilpa ji. Okay, she cannot lower her hand without talking now. Shilpa ji, there?
Yes, Shilpa ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Radhe Radhe Nikunji sir. Yeah, it was I'm sorry, I did lower my hand because I changed my mind. It wasn't a question. It was more of an experience, and then I hesitated. So thank you for catching me on that.
Go ahead, that's okay.
The whole pride thing, I think first, like at least for me, because I do follow this scripture since I was very young. There becomes a fine line as to when you quit trying, because I don't know where that sweet spot is yet. I don't know that. I haven't learned that. So I keep trying, and I'm not a giver. So, I'm more of like, I'll keep trying until I die type of thing, or that's my motto. And it's not because of pride. I just don't know when to quit, or that the surrender is always there. But at the same time, it's like, well, I can't leave everything up to God because I have to try. So I think that's one of the things. And at the same time, a lot of the examples I've been hearing for, the past, well, at least definitely this week, we've had a lot of a deep discussion. They've all turned out so positive. And I think in my experience, I don't think I had a very positive experience with surrendering. It was a long time ago. I was very young. It was a different age. And I think at that time, God was just testing me. And so this whole thing of surrendering, I felt like I had surrendered and God continuously tested me. So I was like, okay, go ahead, test me. Go ahead, test me. And I got in that competition with God. And, I was young, naive, unknowledgeable. So I would have those conversations with God and say, I've surrendered and you're still testing me. Go ahead, keep testing me. It took me a long time to get over all of the stuff that was happening in my life. And
You had so much on your mind and you lowered your hand. So I'm glad you spoke. So let's talk more offline around it. It's very difficult to hit that sweet spot. I get that. When do you have acceptance, and when you think, it's time to move on or to say that I need to try harder. And you can't give up just like that. If that was the case, then Edison wouldn't have invented the electric bulb, right? Or we might not even be doing justice to the, what we are truly capable of doing if we give up in one attempt only. So that's a good question, actually. It's a very practical question too. And I'd asked this question to Swamiji. He said your intuition would tell you, have you already done enough? Or it's time. And then you have to have a self-awareness around that particular thing as well, right? For example, if you're preparing for something, how much preparation is needed, how much time do you have, set goals accordingly, and then take a call around it. A lot of factors come into feeding that information, which will enable us to take that informed decision that it's about time to move on or not. And it's very contextual too. So maybe we can discuss a little more. It's not a 2-minute conversation.
Yeah, I just feel God knows our strength even before we do. So he continues to push us
yes,
he knows our breaking point even before we do. So I just keep pushing and trying to a very large extent.
Good. At least you have that awareness and you feel what God is testing. So that itself is a good development in that sense. Wonderful. So let's quickly take maybe one more hand. Then we can do a quick chanting. We have not done it, and then we'll wrap up our session because we have a call, another call. I think I have a call rather in like 15 minutes. So we'll wrap it up, and then we are a 5 o'clock club, right? And I want to free them up on time so that they can get adequate sleep as well. Yes, Aparna ji.
Yes, Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji and everyone. I mean, you can call me, I'm the queen.
Sorry, Aparna ji.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Now we can.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm able to swipe the negative thoughts away these days by not entertaining those. I'm able to dovetail them to some, like mostly kirtans or something. But when I wake up in the morning is when is my worst time. Those thoughts I'm not able to forget or substitute. Any tips for that? That was my question. Until I actually sit up and see Swamiji's picture or Radha Krishna picture and actually start my day, they don't go away. It's more of some kind of fear. That I cannot explain. So any tips for that?
I don't know. It's see, anything that starts coming naturally to us. I think Swamiji has explained in one of his lectures, it's like the grooves, the neural grooves that we have formed in our mind by repetitive thinking, right? So it said that in Canada, when you are driving, and if you pick a particular path, because the ice is so much, you are stuck in that path or that rut for 15, 16 kilometers. So choose your rut wisely. And I think if you might have done that thinking so much repeatedly that it comes very naturally to you, right? Those grooves are formed, and they say that neurons that wire together, they fire together, they wire together, right? So maybe those neurons synapses have happened so much that it comes very naturally. So the way you have formed the grooves, by reverse thinking, you have to bridge those, or use a reverse chintan. Maybe you keep falling to that okay, those thought processes are started and you're not stopping yourself. You continue thinking about it, right? So maybe you have to do the reverse chintan, and then until it.
Physically, I'm not able to get up and push those away. Until I really physically get up, they don't go away, and it doesn't. Those thoughts don't let me get up physically. So it's like the cycle.
Get up. Maybe Krishna is telling you to get up and not just lie down and keep dwelling on those thoughts. Anything that helps you break that chain, you have to mindfully practice it. And like anything else, it is practice, right? Like even in Bhagavad Gita, right? Arjuna asked Krishna that Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, that his mind is very turbulent. Vayu reva sudushkaram, that it is more difficult than to control wind. Wind more difficult than the wind to control. And then Krishna says, Asanchami Mahabaho, Mana Balvad Dridam. Basically, what you are saying is right, but then he goes on to say, Abhyasena tu kante vairagyani chigrihiyate. With practice and detachment, you can do that. So practice is something that is needed for everything to attain in life. So I think you have kind of fallen into that trap of that repeated thinking. You'll have to do reverse thinking so that you can start, neutralizing what comes naturally to you. And before you realize, then those thoughts will be neutralized. So don't fall into it. Break that cycle, whatever it means, whether it means watching a video, reading a book, getting up, taking a walk, thinking something else, whatever it takes, you decide for yourself and start breaking that chain. I think right now you're continuing to write that. So that might be the case.
Yeah, actually, in the night, I mean, I have changed so many habits of mine. I don't even watch anything that is impactful. I don't do anything. I just do a little prayer and go to bed. But that is helping me during the day. I'm pretty much way better, like 90%
And I
better.
think part of the
But
problem you've
early
already,
mornings are the worst time.
yeah, so you identify the trigger. This is typically around the time it happens, and then you need to break that thing, maybe around that time, something different you have to do. So if there's a particular time, so at least
Okay.
you have
Thank you.
you have identified the problem and the time, so half of the battle is already won. Okay, try, and the best wishes
Thank
from
you.
all of us. But I think that's the best I can, at least from my limited
Thank
understanding, tell you. Thank you, Aparna-ji. Last one, Keshav-ji.
Keshav-ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Very good talk. Yesterday I was in another class, and the speaker, I mean the spiritual teacher of that group, said that sometimes God is testing us. It was on YouTube, but I could communicate by writing the text, So I wrote, my understanding, God is non-doer. So if he's non-doer, he is not testing us. So then it was there only that part. Now my understanding, it is the Yog Maya which is doing everything, and our mind is influenced by Yog Maya. What is Yog Maya? We all know Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So those are the things which are forcing us to do at good, bad, whatever. So gist of this is that if we surrender to God of your Ishta Devta, but for me it is one, and that is Purushottam Krishna. So I surrender to Purushottam Krishna. I'm also having a lot of bad, like suffering, very little tamasic most of the time. And how I have overcome is by surrendering to Purushottam Krishna. And that is helping me. Now I'm getting the answers, the positive, how to be thankful to the person who has given me even the worst thing in the life. Now how to react and how to talk in a polished way. That is Purushottam Krishna is telling me. Thanks a lot for giving me time.
Thank you, Keshav-ji. Very nice. Always good to hear your insights. And it's all stemming from your vast experience that you have. So thank you so much for that. Privilege to have you on the class. All right. So with that, we come to the end of our session today. Tomorrow we have quiz. Please do prepare yourself. And sorry, any other announcements? Did I miss anything?
Please go ahead, Sandhya.
Yes, Sandhya?
Announcements? No, I was just are we doing devotional or no?
Yeah, let's do maybe 2 chants and then wrap it up. I know we are over, but we can afford to have
just a quick interruption here. So Himangini ji wanted to suggest for Aparna ji's question. She has shared in chat, suggested morning, afternoon gratitude for another day. Find your weaknesses and work on affirmation.
Sure. Thank you, Himangini ji. We can patch you up with Aparna ji, and then I think you can bond together and share some ideas that work for you. I think that might be good.
Yes. I think now we can move on to our devotional section.
Yes, Sandhya. Manisha ji, are you going to sing today? You seem to be in a good mood today. I think a lot is happening with you and Krishna, I believe. So please go ahead.
Yes. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Right?
Please go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead, Manisha ji.
सुन राधिका दुलारी सुन राधिका दुलारी तेरे द्वार का भिखारी तेरे श्याम का पुजारी एक पीड़ा है हमारी हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला। हम सोचते थे कान्हा कहीं कुंजन में होगा हम सोचते थे कान्हा कहीं कुंजन में होगा अभी तो मिलन में सुख नहीं भोगा अभी तो मिलन का हमने सुख नहीं पा वो सुन के प्रेम की परिभाषा सुन के परिभाषा मन में बंधी थी जो आशा आशा हुई निराशा झूठी दे गया दिलाशा हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला। देता है कन्हाई जैसे प्रेम की दिशा देता है कन्हाई जैसे प्रेम की दिशा सब विधि उसकी लेता भी है परीक्षा ओ कभी कट बुलाए कभी दूरियां बढ़ाए छलिया हाथ नहीं आए छलिया हाथ नहीं आए हम श्याम ना मिला श्याम ना मिला। ये सुन राधिका दुलारी तेरे द्वार का भिखारी तेरे श्याम का पुजारी एक पीड़ा है हमारी हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला हमें श्याम ना मिला। राधे
Radhe Radhe. Very nice and devotional, Manisha ji. Thank you so much. You sang after a while, but that was pretty amazing. So loved it. Thank you so much. I think after this, we can wrap it up now. I can sing maybe one line of Radhe Govind and then we'll wrap it up unless somebody else. Okay, it's 10:30. I have a call as well. So yeah, there are 4 lines. These 4 lines, Maharaji says, pretty much sum up the entire scriptures. So those I'm going to sing. राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे सोचना ही साधना है गोविंद राधे बार बार सोचना ये उनसे मिला दे बार बार सोचना ये उनसे मिला दे राधे राधे गोविंद Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe. Okay. All right. So thank you everybody for another engaging session. And tomorrow is our quiz day. Don't forget that. And thank you for your enthusiastic participation and for turning on your video. So Cash has turned on a video. I see a new face today. First time in the session. So thank you for that. And quite a few new participants today as well. So that's very nice. Thank you, everybody. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day from my side.
Thank you so much, Nitinji, for another awesome session. And thank you everyone for your wonderful, enthusiastic participation. Stay tuned for tomorrow's quiz, and Radhe Radhe. See you all tomorrow. Stay blessed.
Thank you. Good night. Good day.